Hey everybody, I'm John, and this is Blind Whiskey Reviews. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. And thank you for joining me for my first review of the new year. Hopefully your new year was amazing. Mine was great, sort of. My whole family got sick over the holiday break. We all got the flu, except for my wife. She was spared, so we've been dealing with that. I'm still hacking up a little bit, but my palate has come back, so I feel confident in doing this review for you. But if I'm coughing it up a little bit during the review, apologies. Sorry about that. But today I wanted to get to one that I've been trying to get to for a while. And as you know, with these No Time Like the Present reviews, I've been cracking bottles that I want to crack open. And that's going to help us in the future. Hopefully you saw my year-end wrap-up with my favorite whiskeys, my most disappointing whiskeys. And one of the things that's going to help me to give you a more thorough review of those type of whiskeys during the course of the year is doing these reviews and being able to open up the bottles that I want to open. So luckily, I had enough whiskeys that I felt confident in giving you that video this year. This coming year, at the end of this year, will be much more thorough. I'll have opened all the bottles I wanted to open, have been opened all the new releases I've gotten from this year. So I'm really excited to do that for you. Today, I'm very excited to be bringing you a review of the Four Roses Small Batch Select. Disclaimer, I have tasted this whiskey. I did get sent a sample by the distillery. I didn't really want to review the sample that they sent me because strangely enough, the bottle was like half full and it tasted a little funky. I've also had another opportunity to taste this a couple other times, so I'm pretty confident in my thoughts on this. But we're going to crack it open for you here today as we do on these No Time Like the Present reviews, so we can get this bottle open, get some air in there right before we do the blind review down the line here. So let's get into it. First, we got a neck tag, and generally I don't love neck tags. This one is a twofold. You got 2 pages, which I think is perfect. But let's get into this a little bit. So they selected 3 of their proprietary yeast strains, V, K, and F, and used both of their mash bills. Small Batch Select is a mingling of 6- and 7-year-old bourbons. It's non-chilled filtered, and it's bottled at 104 proof. And I really like the 104 proof. I really like that 105, 110 range. So I feel like this 104 is right in that ballpark. A really great drinking proof. They also say it's a mellow spirit defined by unique candied fruit balanced by spice for a refreshing nuanced taste that fades into a long finish that is characteristics of the Four Roses family of bourbons. So let's put that to the test and see if that's the case. Let's crack this guy open here. There we go. See what we got for a pop. Oh, that was weak sauce. That was terrible. All right. Smells good, but what a crappy cork pop. Let's get ourselves some whiskey. All right. On the nose, very classic Four Roses bourbon nose. Got a lot of those sweet dark fruits, a lot of spice. And it really does kind of have that like candied fruit nose on it. So far, it's not incredibly robust on the nose. There's a few notes there. It smells really good, but it's not very strong on the nose. So, again, obviously very fresh pour. But let's get into what really matters and get to the taste. Cheers. So obviously, first time across the palate, don't want to get into too many tasting notes, but I do love where the proof is at. It's very nice, very warming. Feels pretty full-bodied on the palate, but it's not overwhelming. There's not a big harsh burn. You really get to sit there and enjoy the flavors without having to deal with a lot of alcohol. So it's a really good proof point so far. Yeah, there's some nice rich notes here. Very deep, dark, rich fruit characters. Some nice oak. Not too much. Obviously, it's only a 6- and 7-year-old age-stated bourbons here, so we're not dealing with a lot of oak here. Not dealing with a lot of oak characters. You know, there's maybe like a hint of vanilla, but not a ton of it. Not a ton of woody notes. It doesn't finish very tannic and bitter. You're kind of left with a nice balance of a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of sweet fruitiness, which is nice. There's definitely some spicy herbal notes here. You kind of get a mid-palate. They come in a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of, there's almost like a spearmint quality to it. And you're especially kind of left with that almost like herbal spearmint. It's not super strong. I'm sure you guys have watched some other reviews of this whiskey, and it's kind of a love it or hate it whiskey. Some people are really enjoying it. Other people are saying, you know, it's a little bit off-putting. They don't like the finish. I've heard people mention this minty note that's a little bit strong and kind of overwhelming to the whiskey. And I'm not getting that here at this point in time. The nose is opening up a little bit. It actually smells really good. I really love the deep fruit notes that Four Roses brings. Let's get one more taste. Yeah, so far so good. At this point, I kind of wish that those deep fruit notes that are on the nose would come forward a little bit more, give us a touch more sweetness and a touch more power from those fruit notes. I think they could really stand to be ramped up a little bit. So far so good. I'm not knocking my socks off at this point, but let's do what we always do with these reviews. We're going to let this whiskey sit in the glass for 20 or 30 minutes, give it the opportunity to open up, and see what kind of flavors we can get after this whiskey's had a little bit of airtime. So we'll be back with that in a sec. All right, so this whiskey's had about 30 minutes to open up. Let's see how it's doing. The nose has opened up a little bit more of like some classic bourbon notes, so I'm getting some really big brown sugar. Those deep fruity notes are still there, but they're kind of more balanced with this brown sugar note. A little bit of spice there still. Smells good. Let's get into it. Yeah, so far not doing what I wanted it to do. I really wanted to see some more of those big, bold, fruity notes, those dark fruits, those black currant, the plum, the cherry. I want to see a little bit more of that, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, I'm really trying to let the whiskey like warm up on my palate. Let it kind of release some of those flavors. When you do that, it does let it, you get a little bit more robust character. You get a little bit more bold flavor. So I'm digging that. It definitely gives me hope that this whiskey is going to open up and turn into something a little bit better, maybe a little bit special. So far, though, like it's just not knocking my socks off. And that's kind of true to what I had thought of it in the couple times I've tasted it previous to now. But definitely got some classic Four Roses characters, and it's definitely a good whiskey. I don't want you to misconstrue the fact that I think this is a good whiskey. But you got to keep in mind like the expectations I have for something out of Four Roses, who has not released a new core line release in a very long time. You know, I had high expectations for this, and it so far isn't living up to that. But not to say that it's not a good whiskey. It certainly is a good whiskey. Just not, I wanted it to be a little bit more. So let's get one more taste here, give you my final thoughts. Yeah, just more of the same. Very solid, very drinkable. I do not have a problem with the flavors on this whiskey. I'm enjoying it. However, like I said, my expectations were a bit higher than what it's delivering right now. However, again, neck pour. This is the first pour out of a bottle. We got to give this bottle the chance to open up a little bit. In a couple weeks, I'm going to pour a sample of this bottle into a sample bottle that we'll be using for our blind review coming up in the future. So I'm really excited for the blind review on this whiskey. Hopefully that opportunity to open up gives it that chance and it takes advantage of it. But for right now, based on this taste and the couple others that I've had, not knocking my socks off. It's good. It's just not great, amazing, living up to those expectations that I had for it. So, because I really love Four Roses, and I really love their limited edition releases. The Al Young obviously was amazing. Their standard yearly limited edition releases are always good. So I'd hope that this would be some kind of bridge between those, between our standard, small batch, single barrel, and the limited editions. I was hoping it'd fall, firmly in the middle of that, and I think it's coming just a little bit short for me. Again, and at the price point this is at, I think it's a little bit high. For $55, I would hope to see this come down about $10 in price. $40 to $45 feels about right, especially when you can get the single barrel for $35 to $40. Having this just a notch above is fine, but it's well above at this point. So I really want to see this come down in price a little bit, and I really hope that it opens up and turns into a little bit more robust whiskey. Maybe then that'll justify the $55 price point. But I gotta know, what do you guys think of this whiskey? Let me know in your comments down below. As always, guys, you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can also catch me on Instagram at Mission Bottle Kill, where I'm posting pictures of people emptying out all kinds of great bottles of whiskey. So if you want me to post your pic, tag at Mission Bottle Kill in your post. You can also send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews, that's whiskey with an E, @gmail.com. And until next time, cheers.